I want to talk about my top 10 observations of 2018. And I'm doing this a bit from my perspective, right? The perspective of a black man, number one. So let's put that out there. And the perspective of our community as best as I can. And the perspective of someone who has traveled the globe. Last year, I traveled the globe quite a bit. And so let's go from 10 to 1. That's always better, right? Let's go from 10 to 1. Number 10 is the crash of cryptocurrency. Now, if you all remember, January 2018, cryptocurrency was about $14,000 for one Bitcoin. And today, I haven't looked at the price today, but I know today it's oscillating between $3,000 to $5,000. Last time I checked, it was about $4,000, right? And here's what I would say. A lot of us, when I say us, a lot of black folks, we didn't really hear about cryptocurrency until it got hot. And I'm going to ask you to ask yourself why. And one of the major reasons why is because of the networks we run in, right? I heard about cryptocurrency back in 2014 before it made the run, and I had the opportunity to invest a bit. Just because I was like, why not? At that time, a coin was, between $30 and $40. And then later, when I decided to buy a few more, it's between $70 and $80. But part of the reason I heard about cryptocurrency is because of my network. My network is diverse, it's expansive, and these are the type of things that people in my network talk about. And I remember toward December 2017, January 2018, the conversation had just started happening on WVON. And there was conversation about Bitcoin, about the promise of cryptocurrency. And what happens is, all too often, we get to the party late. And I know a lot of people who have lost money on cryptocurrency as a result of that. And so one of the things I want to challenge us to do in 2019 is, diversify your community. Diversify, the people that you're talking to on a regular basis. Get to know somebody who doesn't look like you. It will help you navigate this world that doesn't look like you. Because most of us, when we get into the workforce, we're going to our jobs, as we leave our communities, and you begin to look around, you see fewer and fewer people that look like you. And your ability to successfully navigate that space is dependent upon the relationships you have with people that don't look like you, that can give you intel on how you should be, who you should be, how you should conduct yourselves in those arenas if you're looking to be successful. All right, that's number 10. Number 9. Number 9 on the list is net neutrality. Now, why is this important? I was watching, again, I'm coming from the perspective of a black man. So first, here's the idea of net neutrality. The idea is that internet providers shouldn't interfere with your ability to reach websites, right? So what is an internet provider? An internet provider could be Xfinity for many of us, right? Some of y'all still got, well, I don't think you can, but AOL might be going through Warner, right? But either way, I still see some AOL email addresses floating around out here. But those are called internet providers, right? And the idea is that internet providers shouldn't be able to interfere with your ability to reach websites, apps, or services that you choose. Now, if you can't recall, in 2015, the Federal Communications Commission set rules in place regulating the blocking and showing of certain web content by internet providers. So they were about to regulate this. In 2018, that was repealed, which allows us to continue to use any internet provider to look at anything that we want to look at on the web. Why is that important? That's important because which community do you think that would have hurt the most? If all of a sudden we could not get to certain sites, certain pieces of information, certain blogs without paying, right? Or maybe you just can't get there anymore. that would have hurt our community immensely, especially if there's some type of fee or payment associated with going certain places. I don't know how much we knew about it. And this again, I'm having this top 10 conversation because I just want us to be aware of what's happening in the world around us, especially as we set goals as we move forward into 2019. Net neutrality is number 9. Okay. Number 8, the Mueller investigation. I don't have to talk a whole lot about that. We saw Manafort go down. We saw Cohen go down. My reminder to many of us is this. They knew they had Richard Nixon. It took them 3.5 years to actually get the evidence. So a lot of people are like, win, 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 win. And if I had to call it, I would say, if not 2019, early 2020. When Mueller, if, he's not put out this role and there's a whole lot going on with the government shutdown, we got to pay attention to this stuff. It's strategic. But again, number 8, the Mueller investigation, something that we should all keep watching and stay astute to. Number 7, this has something to do with the current administration, but trade wars and tariffs. Now, again, I'm looking at this from the perspective of our community. Why do tariffs matter? If there are tariffs being put on China, there are tariffs being put on other countries that are importing things into the United States of America. Why does that matter? Well, that matters because the tariffs took place in 2018. And there's still a lot of inventory and product that did not get taxed or tariffed, right? If I can say that. That when Black Friday came around, we went and we took advantage of these different sales, and we didn't feel the pain of any of these things. But if this continues to go, we will start to feel the pain. How we will begin to feel the pain is in inflation. Right? There are certain products, certain things that have been affordable will no longer be affordable. And it will begin to impact our economy because what's happening is many of these countries that are undergoing tariffs are now coming back and saying, well, in that case, we're going to place a tariff on American imports, so the things that we're exporting. So that means that farmers, the agricultural industry, the meat industry, all these different industries will now have a harder time selling product or exporting product, which means that they're not bringing in the same amount of money that they were bringing in before. What am I saying here? What I'm saying is brace yourselves. If you are not saving money, start saving money. If there's something that you absolutely 100% need, go get that because it may be more expensive halfway through this year. Okay? And if there's nothing, you have all that you need, then save your money and stop buying stuff. Because you may wish that you had those dollars a bit later as this tariff war continues to escalate. And and I say war because it's a war. All right. Just because, missiles aren't falling and we don't see explosions happening on the television doesn't mean that the tariff war is not critical and is not important. So number 7 on my list for my 2018 observations are the trade wars. Now, let me talk about Africa in the context of these trade wars. I've been talking Africa. I've been shouting Africa for quite some time for many reasons. One, for us as individuals, us as black people, I firmly believe that there is healing in Africa for us. I believe that from a personal experience, and for those of you who've gone with me to Africa, I believe you can testify that when you go to Africa, you no longer think the same. You don't see yourself the same. It has a significant impact on your identity, right? So that's one reason why I'm bringing Africa into this conversation. I mean, for those of you who want, we still have seats to the transformational tour of Ghana coming up. So go to murdermediocrity.com to get more information on that, details on that. Would love to have you with us. It's transformational. It's transformational. But here's the other reason why I'm bringing Africa up in the context of the trade wars. The one country that, or I'm sorry, not country, but continent that I haven't heard any tariff being mentioned is Africa. And the one continent that the United States is late to the party, but starting to say, well, wait a second here. Why is China so interested? Why is Russia so interested? Maybe we should be interested. And let me tell you, the interest is coming because the other world powers are interested, because there was no interest before, all right? But they're interested because there are 1.2 billion people in Africa today, the continent named Africa, okay? And that will become the workforce of the future. I don't know what's going to happen economically in the next year or two as this transition off of Asian manufacturing happens as a result of these tariffs, because that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a transition. But if you don't know where this new manufacturing is going to take place, I'm going to inform you. Now you're going to know it's going to be Africa. If you are a listener of substance, if you've been looking for a place to invest, a place where they actually do want your money, where they actually want to work with you, I'm going to challenge you to make your way to Africa so you can begin to learn how you can get in ahead of the coming boom. There will be a boom. It's already happening for China. And like I said, I talked about, so number 10 is Bitcoin. We got to the party late. A lot of people lost money. Do not allow this to happen in your motherland. Africa belongs to us. We are the ones who should be investing and making money in Africa. All right? So come with me to Ghana. You'll see what I'm talking about. Go to murdermediocrity.com to learn more there. All right? But Africa and the trade war, number 7. Number 6, the California wildfires. This is a big deal. Now, I'm just going to put it like this. There were so many fires this year. Now, and the California wildfires showed up on the list in 2017. My observations of 2017. There were so many fires in California this year that when I began to research the data, I could not find a summary of the devastation of all the fires. What they did, is they broke down the fires on a website where you had to research each particular fire. And there were over 60 fires in California this year. And the website said the only fires that we are listing are the fires that burnt over 500 acres and caused a loss of life. So we're not talking about fires that may have burned a few acres. Like, those aren't even counted. The fires that are counted are fires that burnt over 500 acres or more and killed people. 60 fires, over 60 fires were counted. And to help you understand the gravity of what's happening in California is Camp Fire, which is the big fire that we've been hearing about on television. That fire burnt over 150 acres of land and killed, I can't even remember how many people, but killed in the double digits of people, right? And when I say double digits, I'm not talking 10 or 20, it was more than that. This is happening right here in the United States, okay? And To put it in perspective, for those of you like, oh, 150,000 acres, what does that mean? Well, everybody's watching the Bears game today. And an acre is about 76% of a football field. 150,000 acres burnt in that just one fire. And there were over 60 fires that qualified to be on that website. So we need to be watching. I know we're home in Chicago, and one of the things about Chicago is we've avoided almost every natural disaster that's hit the United States. But California, they have fires. In the Gulf, they have hurricanes. On the East Coast, they have hurricanes. They have blizzards. All types of crazy things are happening in this country. Makes you wonder why. Okay. Again, number 6, California wildfires. Number 5, opioids. Opioids are on my list. Now, this is the first time I had drugs on the list. And let me give you some statistics from the CDC and the Agency for Health Care Research and Quality, and the United States Department of Health and Human Services. They revealed the gravity of the problem in these 7 stats. Number 1, in 2016, healthcare providers across the U.S. wrote more than 214 million prescriptions for opioid pain medication. Now, the Divine Healing Hour was on right before this, and Brother James was saying, watch what you're taking. Watch what you're taking. I personally know very successful businessmen who were not addicted to opioids a few years ago that are popping pills now. Okay? And I'm talking about $25 a pill. This is an expensive habit. They're popping pills now. Okay? And they got the habit not from a street corner dealer. They got the habit from a professional in a white lab coat. They got the habit from a doctor that overprescribed pain medication. But tell you something, we got to wake up. So if you all remember, I had a toothache towards the middle of the year. I actually talked about it on the air. So, oh man, my mouth is hurting, got a toothache. Some of you all sent me notes. Hey man, take care of yourself. Hope you feel better. Well, what I had to do was I had to get that tooth pulled. So I went in for what you would think is a normal tooth pulling procedure. And when I went in, they pulled the tooth, and I asked the surgeon who pulled the tooth, I said, I don't want anything with opioids in it. He says, oh, well, that's fine. I'll take care of you. And he still gave me a painkiller with opioids in it that had a street market. It had a street, like the bottle itself had a street market value of over $100, the prescription. And I didn't know it till I filled it. I went home, I looked it up on the internet and found that, okay, yeah, here's one of the addictive painkillers. So I didn't take it. And guess what? After taking some aspirin, I didn't need to take it. I didn't even need it. Took 3 aspirin before I went to bed, slept all night. If I woke up, I popped a couple of more. Pain went away in 48 hours. I was fine. I had enough of the other drug to last a week. Why did I need to take it for a week? And what would have happened if I had taken that for a week? I'm just saying, we got to be aware. Anyway, 214 million prescriptions for opioid pain medications written in 2016. Number 2, as many as 1 in 5 people receive prescription opioids long-term for non-cancer pain in primary care settings. What does that mean? What I just told you. I had non-cancer pain. It was a primary care setting, getting a tooth pulled. And 1 in 5 people are getting prescribed this stuff, you all. And it's hit other communities hard, but We can't afford a hit like that. So I'm just asking you all, let's educate ourselves. Let's take care of ourselves. Okay? When we're getting prescribed these medicines, because often, like Michael Jackson says, I don't know about y'all, but they don't really care about us. Number 3, more than 11 million people abused prescription opioids in 2016. Number 4, every day, more than 1,000 people are treated in emergency departments for misusing prescription opioids. Let me say that again. Every day, 1,000 people in the United States are being treated for the misuse of prescription, not heroin, all right, not street stuff, prescription opioids. Number 5, more than 40% of U.S. opioid overdose deaths in 2016 involved a prescription. More than 40%. So the doctors are moving in on the drug dealers in terms of deaths. Number 6, drug overdoses claimed the lives of nearly 64,000 Americans in 2016. Nearly 2/3 of those deaths, 66%, involved a prescription of illicit opioid. What does that mean? They weren't supposed to be taking it. They bought it on the black market. Came out of somebody's medicine cabinet, ended up on the black market, and more than likely they were children. So we got to be careful. We just had the holidays. I wish I was having this conversation before the holidays, because some of us had this kind of stuff in our medicine cabinets and it came up missing. And we wonder why it went missing. We just went and got another prescription because we can. But what's happening to the person that's taking it? Number 7, in terms of opioids, the CDC estimates the total economic burden of the prescription opioid misuse in the United States is a $78.5 billion a year problem, including the cost of health care, loss of productivity, addiction treatment, and criminal justice involvement. So, now you know. Number 5, opioids. Number 5, opioids. Number 4, Meghan Markle. You probably like, for real, Linal? Now let me tell you why. I've been to Africa. There are kings and queens in Africa, folks. When a prince gets married over there, they don't get this kind of coverage. There are little black girls becoming princesses all the time. All right? But this one, man, the coverage of this one, and I'm bringing it up is because the media tells us the story. And the question is, do you believe that story? Do you believe the only way you can become a princess is that you got to marry into English royalty? We got to wake up. And some of us were like, oh my God, I want to be like Meghan. Where's my prince? I'm just saying, it's pushing a narrative. We got to wake up. It's pushing a narrative. And if you research the royal family, you'll learn some things they don't want us to know in terms of the position that black folks have had already. It's one of the first time. But anyway, she shows up on the list because it was a big splash in 2018. That's all I got to say about that. Number 3, Bill Cosby. Now, London Ketchum's in the studio this morning, and he put his head down when I said the name of Bill Cosby. Why'd you put your head down, brother?
Well, to see what Bill Cosby went through, and trust me, I don't condone any type of acts.
Is his mic on? Hold on one second. I want to make sure his mic is on. All right, go ahead, brother.
I want to say first that I don't condone any type of acts that he was accused of. But it seems like they waited a really long time till he was close to his deathbed to get him.
Yeah. They waited a long time, didn't they?
Yeah.
To go after him. You think these accusations came up before that?
They probably did.
Yeah.
They probably did.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that, accusations came in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But
Why do you think they went so hard at him now? I mean, he's an old man. Why do you think they went so hard at him now?
I personally think they're trying to make an example.
Why R. Kelly not in jail if Bill Cosby in jail? Why R. Hey, don't get. I'm gonna get upset.
You know what?
Hey, look. Let me tell you something. Why is Bill Cosby first? Why is Bill Cosby first?
Because he was going to buy something very huge. He was going to be of economic power.
This didn't hit Bill Cosby until he made a bid on CBS.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. It was one of them. On a large network, NBC, CBS, he made a bid. I think it's NBC. You're right, NBC. This didn't hit him hard. They didn't go hard at him until he wanted to go after a major communication channel in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Okay? Here's a man now, look, like you said, I don't know what the man, he actually admitted it in his deposition. I did it, and he said everybody was doing it, and the woman knew what was happening. So then in the context of a deposition, I began to wonder, well, it's no different than some of these young fellas passing a joint to a girl.
Yeah.
Right? If they, hey, take this, it's going to make you feel better. And so can they come back and get some of these young fellas for that in the future? Again, I'm not justifying it. Okay, and number 2 on my list is the Me Too movement. We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, but I just find it interesting that R. Kelly's on the streets, has been on the streets, was able to be his case when they got video.
Yeah.
They had video. But they'll let him stay, but they'll put Bill Cosby away. Why is that? Because one had a positive legacy. One had a legacy that was building black family in the United States of America. They didn't have time for that. The other one is talking bump and grind.
Yep.
And he's still on the street. Bill Cosby, number 3. You know how I feel about it. Number 2, the Me Too movement. Hey, and I'm a fan of the Me Too movement. It's about time. It's about time. Hey, I played the role of Chief Diversity Officer in corporate America. I saw some things that made me sick to my stomach. The way men use their power against women. It made me sick to my stomach. There were times if I could throw hands, man, I wanted to walk inside somebody's office and throw hands. I mean, I'll find out about them. I want to go in there and be like, oh, do that to me. Say that to me. Taking advantage of single mothers, trying to take care of their families, using the role you have as a man. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Me Too movement. It needed to happen. It should have happened a long time ago. And get this, 201 powerful men lost their roles to allegations from this movement. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't enough. There are other men who slid by.
And going to keep sliding by.
Who slid by and keep sliding by as a result of it. But for the men who did this, I'm happy they got them. It's time out for men preying on women who are trying to take care of themselves, trying to take care of their families in the workplace. Number 2 is the Me Too movement. Number 1, and I got to smile. Man, them last 2 took it. Woo, that made me mad just talking about it. But number 1, Black Panther. Black Panther became the 9th highest grossing movie of all time with $1.35 billion worldwide, breaking all types of box office records, including the highest grossing film by a black director, becoming 2018's highest grossing film in the United States and Canada, 2nd highest grossing film worldwide. Also received awards and nominations, and the sequel is in development with Coogler returning to write and direct.
Now I think the Black Panther movie was really powerful because it showed how powerful the black people can be. His younger sister, who was 16, she was actually more intelligent than Tony Stark,
Right.
who was known as the most intelligent guy in the Marvel universe.
That's right.
You know, she was doing things that he had no clue was even available.
Yeah.
The technology in Wakanda, America had no idea of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, Black Panther #1. And let me tell you why I love Black Panther, because it began to give us not only a sense of identity, but something that we could look at. Imagery. I tell you guys all the time that inputs are important. Inputs are important. And these inputs are important because they have an impact on how you think. They have an input on how you think and what you do. And so for me, I was so excited about Black Panther because it was a positive input around black people that we could be proud of. Something that I could show my son. So I'm excited about Black Panther. I'm excited about the sequel and what's to come and the impact. And if you don't know my take, I talked about 5 things you should take away from Black Panther on my blog, Inspirational Perspectives. You can go to inspirationalperspective.com to learn more about that. But I'm gonna end it. The top 10 observations of 2018 right here. Again, number 10, the fall of Bitcoin. Number 9, net neutrality. Number 8, the Mueller investigation. Number 7, Africa and the trade wars. Number 8, number 6, California wildfires. Number 5, opioids. Number 4, Meghan Markle. Number 3, Bill Cosby. Number 2, #MeToo movement. And number 1, Black Panther. Those are my top 10 observations of 2018. And we'll revisit them. I still remember my observations of 2015. I think it was 2015 when I said, hey, smartwatches are taking over and these luxury brands are going to have to figure out how to implement that type of technology. And I got a phone call from somebody that said, man, you crazy. Rolex don't ever have to implement any technology. But now, if you start looking at these luxury watches, they've implemented smart watch technology into their luxury brands, because it's a big deal. And so when I talk about these 2018 observations, I'm sharing them with you so you all have insights. You have insight into what's happening in the world, and you can think about it, if you haven't been thinking about it this way, just to give you a different perspective and way to think about it all. All right, top 10 observations of 2018.